Welcome once again to Global Reports here on Liberty Television after a 4-week absence, 4-week holiday for us, and back on in our Kaduna studios. I am Arthur Brooks. I'm still Arthur Brooks. We're broadcasting throughout Nigeria on Star Times Network, and we're also broadcasting on multi-TV across West Africa. As usual, you can follow us on the internet worldwide, on YouTube and on Facebook. Today we look back at some of the news which has been trending worldwide and here in Africa and in Nigeria throughout the past 7 days. And today I'm joined in the studio by some very good old friends, our regular customers, that is Professor Dikwa and Sani Garba. Welcome to the studio, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And today is Democracy Day. The new Democracy Day, or rather a referral back to an old undemocratic day, which was June the 12th, when an election was curtailed way back in our history. So today's Democracy Day. Before we discuss Democracy Day, let's go international. Let's look at the developments, unfortunate developments, which are going on in the Sudan. The Sudan, of course, is not that far from Nigeria. It's almost one of our neighbours. But watch this short report from China Central Television.
4 people have been killed in Sudan on Sunday, on the first day of a civil disobedience campaign by protesters. That's news coming from a doctors' committee linked to the demonstrators. Police tried to break up crowds of protesters in the capital, firing warning shots and tear gas. Demonstrators have built roadblocks in Khartoum and organized a strike, stepping up pressure on the ruling military council. Anger's been brewing across the country since President Omar al-Bashir was ousted in April. Many are demanding military leaders hand over power to a civilian government. On Monday, security forces stormed a protest camp, killing more than 60 people and arresting 2 leaders. Some have shared mixed views on the demonstrations.
The Sudanese people had a big role to play in order for the civil disobedience to be executed in the correct way. And on its first day, I think that it has been 300% successful.
We are calling upon the youth to remove the barricades and the streets be opened, so we will be able to live in peace. Then we'll rebuild Sudan.
Yeah, so that's what's happening in Sudan. Gentlemen, Prof, what do you have to say?
Like Sudan, like Egypt, and care must be taken not to snowball into Libya. This is something, the weapon that the globalists always use is poverty. Block anything that will bring employment and to keep people busy, and even to deny those who are working enough pay so as to sustain them. That is why they have sanctions and so on, because of one person they are not comfortable with, like what we call Umar al-Bashir. Because of him, they punished everybody then. And again, each time they create cleavages and differences, it is all about making money through sale of arms, or maintain that the people are not comfortable, or one of the ways to to control the population.
Yeah.
And then to come in the name of restoring peace and stability in order to lay hands on the resources.
But Prof, there was an issue with al-Bashir, particularly the goings-on in Darfur.
Yes, the Darfur. And the same militia groups,
Janjaweed,
were invited
the ones invited into.
So it is the same scenario everywhere in Africa where there are resources. You will see that from, you say, you have herdsmen, and then little skirmishes and crises, you will discover that experts are brought in from outside. Sometimes they drop them by choppers, helicopters, in order to destroy the place, and then they disappear. The following morning, people accuse each other. This is how mercenaries work. They do it deliberately in order to create problems. So the danger with those militia, they might be somewhere else outside Sudan, or they were just kept somewhere in order to create problems. Now, with the refusal of the politicians to come together and say, this is what we want, now they are asking some of them not to agree with one another again. That is one of the problems. Since the demise of the likes of Sadiq al-Mahdi and Dr. Hassan al-Turabi in Sudan and so on, politicians never agreed on one thing. They never agree. Even if you tell them, just get somebody to lead the thing who would like to talk with you, they will never agree with one another.
Sani,
and at the same time, they say, we don't want the military, as if the military are not Sudanese. You want to move them, the military, they have certain intelligence reports that there were infiltrations. And if care is not taken, Sudan is likely to be a proxy, a place for a proxy war like Yemen. So that was what people, the mainstream media does not talk about it.
Yeah, between Saudi
yes,
and...
exactly. It's a proxy. Already there are troops from outside Sudan.
Sani, I'd like you to come in here. Your viewpoints.
I just have few words to say.
Go ahead.
With regard to Sudan, it surprised me because we Africans, I don't know when we will realize that the Western or the superpower countries are just out to destabilize us. Because whenever there is any problem in any African country, if you cross-check very correct, you'll see this is the handiwork of these superpowers. Before, it was Southern Sudan and the Sudan. After they have created the Southern Sudan, what will bring problem again in Sudan?
And both Sudan and South Sudan, they have conflicts, and they create those conflicts, and it is us, the elite, who are always paid in order to create problems. Yes. It's not the common man.
The indigents of the country, we are paid to cause all this havoc to their own citizens, people. It's even
funded by outside.
Yes, funding from outside, from the resources that you have somewhere else. They bring you aids, little money, and then they take plenty. They give you perhaps 1%.
To sell their weapons,
yes,
or to test their weapons.
Is a classic situation.
Classic situation.
Because all the mineral resources.
Oil, gas. Yeah. The same thing with northern Nigeria. Oil, gas, mineral resources,
and where we have the biggest
and food.
Problems?
Yes, northern Nigeria. Food. Where you have crisis in northern Nigeria today. Call it Boko Haram, whatever it is. It was a plan that had been there for long to be hashed, waiting for the right opportunity. And most of these opportunities, they are easier implemented during democracy, where 2 + 2 is equal 3, not 4. So they infiltrate in order to destabilize the country. Why? Because Nigeria is a country that has contributed immensely to the global peace. Why is it that Nigeria is leading the entire continent in restoring peace in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and so on?
Some time back, they even prophesized that Nigeria will disintegrate in 2050.
And we believe them, as if it is coming from the Holy Scripture. And we believe them. Yes. This is mind-bending. Inferiority complex of the media our own propagating it. Today, thank God, Sani Garba, the thing is, today, Europeans themselves, those who have conscience, are helping Africa now to say we do not agree what our own governments are doing in Africa. That is why we have refugee crisis. Today, they are helping us to discover, to say no to those things. Their own intelligence, former those who were in the intelligence or so on, are today as retired. They are helping to expose their own governments,
the Western media,
and say no, we don't agree. These are the people. It's the same thing. They attack. How many times did you hear that those who attacked American embassy in Tanzania and so on, were they?
No.
They create a problem in order to pitch to create a problem. They do it. I remember the other time we spoke about the ship.
Yeah.
The American ship Liberty, which was attacked by Israel, knowing fully well that it was an American ship, in order to create animosity, war between America and Egypt, because Egypt had the most powerful army at that time. Huh? So how long do we wait for conspiracy theories and do not allow? They wanted to create a war between Egypt and Sudan,
but not
President
all
of Sudan, not conspiracy theories. So they block direct contact with you. They wanted to create a war between Chad and Sudan. The president of Chad dropped in Sudan and said, let us understand what is happening. No more war. They wanted to create a war between Egypt and Sudan over a place in the Nile. Then the president of Sudan also dropped in Egypt. No more war. They are not happy that the prime minister of Ethiopia, these people have been there as neighbors, but enemies for over 20 years.
The new prime minister.
They went there directly and they talked.
Cool problems.
So they create both sides. They say this one doesn't like you, and you believe them. You can't talk to your own brother.
But thank God, Prof, the Peking. The child that say his mother will not.
He should not go sleep. Today, Western democracy is in tatters. Today, now after Theresa May, that I always supported.
Donald Trump.
I always supported because she was having it very tough. They will never follow her. The conservatives or Tories, they are behaving like the Republicans in America. They will not follow you, and they don't have a good alternative.
They only have
it's just to pull down anything.
All they want is themselves in power.
Themselves alone. Narcissistic behavior.
They don't care about Brexit. They don't care about any of
They don't care about anyone. It is about them and money for themselves, not even the country. So today, Brexit, confusion, political confusion in Britain, and if care is not taken, all the other parts of the United Kingdom are likely to break off. They break off. If America again, if the lack of Trump's continue to have those things, likely economically viable states like California and so on will say, wait, is it a must that I remain within the United States of America? After all, I can now deal directly with China, with Russia, and other places.
Well, that's what's happening already. Many of the states are just saying to hell with Donald Trump and his policy.
So France with the yellow vest and so on are saying, come on, you can't increase things when we don't have enough purchasing power for the franc. And that France cannot survive without the money coming from Africa, at least $500 billion every year from Africa, from the resources.
That's the French.
And they keep 85% of the resources in French francs, give them only 15%, and they borrow their own money,
they pay
with interest. And the European countries, Americans, are just keeping quiet, that criminal silence.
And in another way, they will say, we have been independent. We are not independent.
So you find them all over Africa with the wars in Mali and so on. They are finding the embers of war, but you can't hear them. Those organizations accusing them directly, mentioning the names of those who are there. We saw French choppers in northern Nigeria, in Borno in the past, dropping arms. Today, nobody is talking about which company provided this thing to Boko Haram. Why is it happening? Is the same thing Mali?
These
not even though it's a social media.
Social media is
of recent. I have seen some French-speaking country have arrested French soldiers.
Many. They're always there.
That take part in this Boko Haram of 18.
And they have their troops in all the ex-French colonies in the name of France Afrique or Francophonie. They have the troops. They pay them with your own money.
And they eliminated
they allow you to fight. They just watch you like Central African Republic.
Gentlemen, let's.
So democracy today, democracy.
Let's move into democracy.
Let us have democracy.
Democracy Day. Let's watch
for the first time.
Just a few seconds of the
June 12, 1993. I was a party chairman.
Okay, where are you? Which party?
my idea was that those of us who are supporting SDP were appointed into NRC after blocking those 21 or so presidential candidates. And then they appointed us as caretaker.
Okay. Let's just watch a little bit of the activities going on in Eagle Square today.
Get your views on that. Really, we just need to speak about this. The images we see here, we'll come back to you, Omar. The images you see here are live pictures from the Eagle Square, where we expect the parade, as Kayla and Ibrahim Adra did tell us initially. And speaking of which, they're still there, as a matter of fact, in Abuja. So let's get to them and get some updates. Kayla and Ibrahim, go ahead.
Sitting arrangement. Obviously, a very good job has been done of it. People are staying in designated places where they should be. And what's more, there appeared to be a very big TV screen in front of those places. So the cases where before now you had, that's a chopper flying overboard, it's the police maintaining some sort of vigilance over the Eagle Square. So I was saying that TV arrangement is a very good thing that has happened. People can actually watch what's happening right where they are sitting. That will bring some sort of sanity.
I think everyone who's watching on TV right now, it's a great thing that you're tuned in and you're watching, but there is nothing more magical than actually being here and witnessing this. We just saw the guards do the guards
supposed to be in the House of Representatives at that time.
Moshid Abiola, but
have died, and he attributed that to neglect, to use his words.
Yeah, those were the scenes earlier today in Eagle Square in Abuja.
After 26 years, when that election,
26 years,
yes, 93 to date. So that particular Abiola was a symbol. Abiola was in every house, everywhere. So he was a philanthropist. In his mind, he never even thought of one day he will run for the presidency. It was after when they dissolved, all the 21 or so, and then virtually he was alone.
Is it appropriate we hold June the 12th as...
Yes, the 29th is just about parting, giving, handing over ceremony. A big deal. Let it be a consideration to have a democracy day. Differently. It is not a big deal. That one is handover. I don't know whether they are likely to push them because of the vacuum here, and to have it one day or to remain so. But the thing is, actually, June 12 was not about just the West. It is about the entire Nigeria. The people were not. We discovered that we had a cabal, Judas, within the military, within the civilian. True. And then the Western interests were always ready to catapult or capitulate or use the opportunity of Russia in order to infiltrate, in order to destabilize the country. The military at that time, without discipline and so on, never wanted that thing to happen. Today we are talking that he ought to have won and so on. But what is behind the scene, what the military knew at that time, most of the people do not know. So it's painful that because the election was almost fair and so on, that was the best. But then there were so many things likely to come behind the democracy. So they used that on military intelligence and so on, they used in order to... The thing is...
What things? You mentioned things where...
Things that today we talked about Sudan earlier on. We talked about that people are fed up with the military, and then you can't chase them away without having a backup. So we wanted at that time to chase the military away, and we were not ready because most of this elite, political elite and so on, had one interest or the other. They so much respected the outer world more than Nigeria. That sense of patriotism was not there. That discipline, the military discipline that you have in the police, in the military and so on, is not there among the civilians. So big infrastructure development and so on, all these developments were done by military type of fear, discipline in order to instill. Today in Africa, they always argue something that concerns each and every one of us, but they would argue, they will delay it, they will allow somebody who was bought from outside in order to disturb you, not to allow from independence.
Well, this was the thing. Democracy never brought us discipline. It never brought us transparency.
No, because somebody who had money will always have his own way rather than the credibility. And the majority can be wrong. An ignorant majority can decide to vote for somebody who is the wrong, who is not patriotic enough, who does not know his left from his own right, who cannot see beyond the nose. So democracy without the basic norms that we had in our own traditional system is a useless thing, because we copied this democracy from a country that has no traditional council, like the Queen. They don't even, like we have the Queen in England, the mother of the Commonwealth. We have a king in Thailand, we have a king in Spain and so on. But in America, it's just a country of immigrants who will use the First Amendment to say anything, to do anything. They don't respect any religion.
So what you're saying is we brought a flawed democracy.
Exactly. America is being run by the establishment. They are less than 1%. America, all the wars that America went
by those with money.
With money, they had money. They create wars in order to sell arms, and they are few. They don't respect Americans themselves. The same thing is all over.
Well, I would not like to mention any foreign-speaking country, but rather Nigeria. To me, I'm against this democracy day change. Why? Because
really?
We shouldn't deceive ourselves. Abiola is not officially declared as the president. So I see no reason why Mr. President...
But it's a symbol. Is it not a symbol?
It's a symbol. But I see no reason why our democracy day will be changed from 29 May to 12 June.
Me too, because about the date. Is you have something like it. The date, about the date. Why moving it? Why not add it on the 29th and say democracy day? Why moving it because
even in school.
June? Again, it was not declared already. But then he was about to win and it was stopped. And then they asked that time to stop the announcement of the results. And immediately the same military dissolved even the electoral empire at that time.
You see, there is no anything like Abiola. If they dissolve it, they cancel everything. So
Abiola,
like
to me,
as a president.
Abiola to me was the symbol of everyone, a real unity. At that time, imagine a ticket, a Muslim ticket, and nobody raised their hand.
I don't think it would be so symbolic if Abiola hadn't tragically died.
And the likes of Reverend Okocha and so on were campaigning for the likes of Zingwin and so on were campaigning for Abiola and Babagana Kingibe. Nobody talked about Muslim Christian ticket and so on. It is a conspiracy. It is a mischief.
Oh yeah.
For us to be thinking about North, South, and Christian Muslim when we have the right people in governance
to divide
us.
That is what is killing us. Because to me, if anybody, even the Igbos that are now denying the seat of presidency, if they can come and do something better that Nigeria will grow, it's a welcome development. I see no reason why we'll be thinking...
The ordinary, we have to get ordinary, other people,
South,
Igbos.
East, no.
There are Igbos, great Igbos, but not among those who are given the voice to talk. They are flying from one airport to another country, and that they worship other countries more than Nigeria. They are great, and these people are just like our own. 1%, they are not up to 1% doing all these bad things, creating problems for this country. They go into crimes, drugs, pushing, and so on. They are not up to 1%. For goodness sake, every society, every tribe has its own bad eggs.
And,
but we tend to load it on everybody.
The problem is also our democracy is also very expensive for the person who wants to go for election.
Mr. Brooks.
Look at
our democracy is just about election. Yeah. It's not right.
Mr. Brooks, Nigeria will never get it right, not until when we have go back to the root of our forefathers. That is, those that have given us independence. We shouldn't be deceiving ourselves. This type of democracy It's not our own.
What do we do? Are we going back to regional governance?
That is it. That is what.
So at that time, it was the first republic where we had a fourth one.
Yeah.
The Midwest was created by the government of Tafawa Balewa. President was Zik, is a figurehead. The prime minister was Tafawa Balewa, so and created the Mid-East in order to balance the thing. But to date, all the politicians, they have not created a single local government. They always talk without results.
We could go.
I wish we could have civil society groups, journalists, media, and so on having seat without being elected in order to get our things done. But electing alone is not likely. Let us retrace our footsteps with the confusions in the Western democracy. Now it is high time for us to sit down and say which constitution, which system is better for us, because we can pick the best practices from all over and have it our own.
Yeah, a meeting to discuss this.
Put the best practices.
Anyway, this is going to be for another day. Unfortunately, our time is up, and we have to bid farewell and thank you to our guests.
Yes, now we are going to be weekly. Great, by the grace of God. We wish Sudan and other places the best. Happy democracy to all of us.
Cameramen, and to the control room people, and to Liberty Television. And we hope to see you again next time next week, once again for Liberty Global Reports. We are.
It's not just about the individual news item, it's all about what's behind the news story. What went on before, now and after.
We report today not from Kaduna, Nigeria, but from Liverpool in the United Kingdom. Slavery Museum, that's right, in Liverpool. Dr. Benjamin.
No personal attack on candidates.
Okay, thank you very much. Great TV Liverpool. I'm here with Chris Kerr, who is one of the team that runs this remarkable little station.
My background is that I'd spent quite a lot of time working for Bernardo Television as a reporter and producer, and I had lived in Liverpool for most of my life, and I've had a very strong interest in doing something in the way of more local television, more than the regional service which Bernardo and the BBC offer.
This is Arthur Brooks signing off from Liberty Global Reports, and have a very good week. Thank you, Saidu, for coming on the programme.
My pleasure.
And please check out our Facebook page.